25, 25, and 10. Through the first 60 games of the season, the Devils are 25, 25, and 10. That's good for 60 points in the first 60 games of the season. And that's good for third to last place in the Eastern Conference, soon to be second to last place in the Eastern Conference when the Carolina Hurricanes play those 3 games they have in hand. A couple of weeks ago, we were 3 points out of a playoff spot. Now here we are, 8 points out with 6 teams to leap to get to the second wildcard spot. It might be time to think about selling. With the trade deadline coming in less than a week, you need to start thinking about selling some players like Cammalleri, Parenteau, and Quincey. I'm not saying that you should sell those players, I'm just saying you need to give it some thought and shop it around a little bit. The easiest one to talk about is Parenteau. Obviously, Parenteau was a waiver claim from the New York Islanders, and he's been a great asset for the Devils since then. With his contract expiring at the end of the season, Parenteau can be a good addition to any third or fourth line in the NHL, especially the ones making a playoff push. Parenteau is aware of a situation with the Devils and realizes the Devils are unlikely to make the playoffs this season. So a destination like Boston, Ottawa, or Toronto makes sense for him. From any of those 3 teams, you're unlikely to get a second-round pick for Parenteau, although it's possible you're more likely to get a third-round pick. For a team like Boston that's struggling with their goal scoring, Parenteau could be a good addition. At 26 points, Parenteau would have the 9th highest point total on the Boston Bruins. Parenteau's best asset is obviously his depth goal scoring. At 13 goals, he'd be good for 5th best on the Bruins, which could definitely help their playoff chances. With the firing of Claude Julien and the way that Boston is running the organization for the past couple of years, it definitely does not seem as though Boston is going to sacrifice their hopes at the playoffs. The second best option for Parenteau seems to be Toronto. Last season on the Maple Leafs, Parenteau was good for 20 goals and 21 assists for 41 points in 77 games. Since the Toronto Maple Leafs are poised to make a push for the playoffs this season, it seems as though that they might want to add someone like Parenteau. However, with the new president of operations in Brendan Shanahan and the new GM in Lou Lamoriello, it does not seem as though they are in any kind of rush with this rebuild. So it does not seem as though that they're going to be buying at the trade deadline. The next easiest guy to talk about that the Devils might think about moving is Kyle Quincey. Despite the criticism from Devils fans, Kyle Quincey has not been playing terrible this season and would be a good serviceable defenseman on the bottom pairing of a playoff team. This week, Carolina Hurricanes defenseman Ron Hainsey was dealt to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a second-round pick. Like Quincey, Ron Hainsey is a bottom pairing defenseman, and he was worth a second-round pick to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Any playoff team looking to add depth to their defensive core could think about adding Kyle Quincey. Although I'm not sure about the market for Kyle Quincey, it could be anywhere from a 5th-round pick to a 3rd-round pick. I do know that he could be a good defenseman on the bottom pairing of a playoff team. Maybe somewhere like the New York Rangers or the Minnesota Wild. Although it's less likely that it's to the New York Rangers because they are a divisional rival, and more likely to the Minnesota Wild, I'm not sure the Minnesota Wild are looking to add a defenseman. But if there is any team that's looking to add one, Kyle Quincey might be their guy. Finally, the last guy and the most complicated guy to talk about is Mike Cammalleri. With 2 years left in his contract, Mike Cammalleri is making $5 million a season. That sounds like a lot of money for somebody who doesn't score a goal in his last 17 games. So the argument to move Mike Cammalleri starts with his $5 million contract over 2 seasons. So the thought to trade Mike Cammalleri starts with the fact that his contract is $5 million over the next 2 seasons, and that's a lot of money. However, for the Devils, it's not that much money, considering all the cap space that we still have, and all the space that we're going to have relieved when Marc Savard comes off the books and then Ryan Clough the next. Although Mike Cammalleri might be a better fit on another team and he might be able to score more than 30 points in 52 games, I think the Devils might need him on the right wing for now. Although that's different to the opinion of a lot of other Devils fans, you need a guy like Mike Cammalleri in a rebuild. If you look down the right wing, there's not a lot of depth there. In the future, there's John Quenneville and Nate Bastian on the right wing side, but for now, we need Mike Cammalleri to fill that spot while those players develop. An argument I've seen against trading Mike Cammalleri away is that if you trade Cammalleri away, Travis Zajac needs to be exposed in the expansion draft. However, that is not the case. If you trade away Mike Cammalleri, you do need to expose 2 forwards, but we have Ray Shero. It's not Lou, but he can definitely find a way to get somebody that can be exposed. Maybe re-sign Parenteau if you don't trade him. There's a lot of options there, so that's not necessarily the case. If you trade away Mike Cammalleri, you might lose Travis Zajac. The argument there, though, is that you want Travis Zajac to be exposed because then maybe you can get the Golden Knights to take a $5.75 million contract for the next 4 years for a player who might not be worth $5.75. Travis Zajac may not be worth his $5.75 million a season in the offensive categories. He definitely has a solid defensive game and has never had less than a 51% face-off percentage and has a career total of 53.7%. In the next week, Parenteau and Kyle Quincey may be moved to add draft picks to the already large stockpile of draft picks that the Devils already have. Draft picks are never bad to have, especially when you're moving guys who are over 30 years old and have expiring contracts. I made this channel to be a conversation. I would love to hear why I'm wrong as to why Mike Cammalleri shouldn't be moved. I would like to see different opinions, and I would also like to see good hockey conversation. You can subscribe to this channel or comment on this video so we can have more conversations about the Devils. I would love to engage in those conversations. You can look for another video tomorrow or Monday about the Rangers game tonight. We'll see how that goes, so I'll see you then.